So this kind of meditation is an excellent way to honor the moon. Now you can use the simple technique of the seed syllable, the Om, Som, two-word syllable, Om on the inhale, Som on the exhale. Or you can use the longer mantra, Om, Som, Somaya, Namaha. But overall, the point is the visualization, the mantra, and then absorbing your attention into both the sounds and the sights. Now again, just with the solar mantra, there'll come a time when, if you do it well enough and for a long enough time, where you can be relaxed yet alert, sitting upright and attentive, that you will actually see a radiant light within your mind's eye. It won't be imagination, it won't be a visualization, it will be actually something that you see. Just like you might see your computer screen in front of you right now, or see yourself in the mirror. It'll be an actual thing. And when that happens, that's a good sign. That means you're really able to focus whilst relaxing and staying alert. So when that happens, you want to train yourself to stay relaxed and sort of flow your attention into that light. Now, some of you might be able to do that more easily than others, but when it does happen, it's something you need to cultivate. So don't get discouraged, but it's something to aim for. We're just going to talk a little bit about some generalities of this whole class before we jump into the moon. And we touched on them briefly last time. But one of the things we have to consider whenever we're working with the planets, whenever we're doing charts, whenever we're trying to prescribe remedial measures or work with our own life, we have to know what is it exactly that we're working with. And the planets out there are really just a reflection of our inner consciousness. For example, the sun can show our leadership ability, the moon can show our adaptability, Mars can show the capacity for our willpower. All these aren't necessarily external beings that we have to appease. They're actually aspects of ourself, aspects of our own consciousness. And the more we learn about the planets, considering them as external things, the more we actually learn about ourselves and how we work. Whenever we do a mantra practice or a meditation practice, we're making more conscious those powers within ourselves. And what happens is, as an astrologer, astrologer is a profession, people get paid to do that, but more so, astrology is meant to be a learning tool, a way of gathering wisdom. So aside from being able to make great predictions, the best thing about astrology is self-knowledge, learning what you are, how you work, how the world interacts with you, and just the best approaches that you can take using what you might consider the laws of the solar system to be, or the laws of your internal dynamics to be. And all those are represented by the planets. Now, what does the chart say about these planets and these powers? Basically, what the chart says, the way the planets are placed within the chart, the situations that they're in, whether they're strong or weak or malefic or benefic, helpful or non-helpful, all that really shows is how we have developed these planets throughout all of our lifetimes of identifying as an incarnated being. And that shows if Saturn and Mars are cruel, that'll show that our own individualized consciousness has had a tendency towards that cruelness or a tendency towards that hardness. If we have more Jupiterian energy, like an exalted Jupiter or a nice Jupiter in Pisces in the 5th house, that could show that over lifetimes we've been able to develop a sense of closeness to understanding the grand design of things. It can show that we have the capacity to be receptive to opportunities. So everything that we see in the chart is just a reflection of where we've been and what we've been doing. And we have to remember that, because so many people decide that they want to look at the chart to figure themselves out, when that can be helpful. But really, if you just pay attention to who you are and what you're about, that'll give you all the information that you need. So what I recommend doing is, for astrology, if you're learning it for yourself and for your own spiritual growth, that's great, because it'll teach you more than you could ever imagine. But when it comes to like reading charts and so on, we need to look at that more in regards to helping other people. Not everyone can look at a chart and have that self-awareness about who they are. So people will come to an astrologer to have pointed out to them from an objective fashion what it is they need to know about themselves. Now the problem with that is that so many people don't really care what's objective. They want what they want, and they want it on their time scale, and they don't really care what the rules of engagement are. They just want it the way they want it. And that's the problem with our culture at this time. And we have to remember that. So when we're working with people, first we need to gauge, are they receptive to understanding what we have to say? And they might not be. So we have to find a way to work with them to reach their planetary energies and find a way to bring them into more consciousness. How do you do that? Well, I think that's really dependent on each of our own capacities. Personally, I have very little patience, so I'm usually more direct with people, and if they don't get it, well, I refer them off to someone else who might be able to take more time with them. If you're a more comforting, more patient individual, that'll serve you a little bit better. So it all depends, and clients will resonate with different types of astrologers. So we don't need to worry too much about that. But overall, what we have to remember is that the chart, it simply indicates the state of our own internal energies, of our own internal powers. What are they doing? What are they about? And if we want to change them, we can look at remedial measures within the chart, such as the mantra practice, honoring the planets, but we just need to get a handle on what are they about. Mars can be a very volatile planet. He can be very angry, and he can also be very judgmental. That's Mars in a negative fashion. And so if we look at our chart and we see we've got a debilitated Mars, we've got a Mars in a great enemy's sign, or really getting hammered by Saturn, then we can know, all right, what I really need to work on is being more logical with my Mars, not flying off the handle, not being so impulsive. And is that going to be easy? No, but the only way you're going to change it is by acknowledging that that's the case and then deciding that you're going to do your utmost best to get a handle on that. And this is one of the reasons why, as an astrologer, I do think things are going to happen in a certain way, but I'm a little less fatalistic because I know there are people who can become aware and can change things. I've seen it happen. Not that often, but I have seen it happen, so I know it's possible. So we have to remember that. Now, this is where the magic part of this whole class comes in. So the class is the myth and magic of Vedic astrology. And so the magic always starts with self-knowledge. And it's just like anything else. If we want to bake a cake, if we want to do a recipe, we have to have the knowledge of how to put those ingredients together in a way that will give us our end result. If we don't, if we think that, I've used this example before, so you might have heard it, if we think that when we're making a cake, oh, we've got salt, so instead of sugar, we're going to put salt in, and this cake's going to turn out great. Well, that's how a lot of people live their lives. They look at what they've got, and instead of going and finding that thing that they need, they just throw in what they've got and think it's going to work out fantastic, and that's not the way it works. So part of the whole magic, number one, is self-knowledge. We have to know, what do we have to work with? If we don't have everything we need to achieve what we want, then we need to go find those things. If we want to have a successful astrology business so that we can study this for a living and help people like this for a living and gain insight and have time to contemplate these things, we might have to start thinking, well, how can I actually set this up as a business? You might need to go to business school because you don't have those skills. Or how do I create a successful ad? All these things that we need to have. And we can see those within the chart. Where are the deficits in a person's life, which we can direct them to? And hopefully they'll respond to that. Once we know what we've got, then we can get a better sense of how do we proceed to change things. Gemstones help. Mantras help. But again, that self-knowledge helps. If we know someone who has a very strong 8th house, let's say that their ascendant lord is in the 8th house, and they're trying their best to have a very balanced, centered life with zero drama, well, the fact that they have this strong 8th house energy, it's going to show that overall there's going to be more drama. There's going to be more sudden breaks and changes. There's going to be this capacity or this desire to want to have constant transformation and growth and everything being new and different. And that's fine, but what happens is you get caught up in this pattern of transformation and growth and you never let things settle out. So if you can see that, then just a simple method is to realize that when we decide we want to make something change or we need to transform more or heal something else, there's always one more thing to heal, eventually we need to see that we need to just stop doing that and accept that everything is all right the way it is. Totally counter to what someone who has a strong 8th house energy wants to do, but that's if they want to have peace of mind, if they want to have contentment, it's that kind of self-knowledge that the person needs to have in order to bring them into that space of contentment. So more transformation is not going to do it. Just like with our economy or with business, growing nonstop is not going to help anyone. It's that sustainable aspect. We have to learn to be sustainable in our life. So having that knowledge, seeing where a person is focused, that can give us a clear indication of what they need to do or what they need to work on, how they need to change themselves internally.